Welcome back. It took a while, but it's finally time for an in-depth look into all of the little details in Elden Ring. As the largest FromSoft game to date, Elden Ring definitely has inspiration pulled from numerous places. While the motif of alchemy has been referenced a lot concerning this game, there are many other themes that need to be reviewed. Alchemy isn't the only subject where myth and science cross paths after all. Just like the astrologers in the lands between, we've always looked to the skies searching for answers, which is why there are a multitude of celestial topics to cover in Elden Ring. This time though, we will be discussing what happens when visitors from the heavens come to us. Extraterrestrials may sound more like a topic for science fiction than the realm of fantasy, but whenever humans have an encounter with anything alien, we tend to talk about it. Whenever people talk, folklore starts to spread. That said, while there is some resemblance to stories and mythology, not much has been specifically related to visitors from beyond the stars until much more recently. There are a few reasons for this, but the main one is that most ancient cosmologies didn't seem to conceive of something beyond the stars in the first place. Many early beliefs of cosmology saw the sky as a dome or egg, and it wasn't until much later that we developed a comprehensive view of the depths of the cosmos and wondered just what lurked within them, which is why most folklore about extraterrestrial life is fairly modern. Even still, perhaps fittingly for the name, there are a number of aliens who appear to exist in myriad forms in the lands between. Let's get right into it with one of the most apparent examples in Elden Ring, the albinaurics. You may have noticed by now the second generation of albinaurics are reminiscent of everyone's favorite alien, the Greys. Perhaps one of the most well-known extraterrestrial archetypes, these creatures are mainly characterized by their short height, silvery skin, and enormous black eyes. In addition to these features, they are usually defined by non-human proportions, underdeveloped or non-existent nose and ears, and large heads that many speculate make them incredibly intelligent and capable of telepathy. Though the earliest depiction of such aliens is noted to appear in the 1891 novel Meta, A Tale of the Future by Kenneth Follingsby, these visitors from beyond are believed to have been popularized from the abduction account of Barney and Betty Hill, who gave descriptions of these beings under hypnosis. Critics of their tale are quick to remark though that this resemblance is quite similar to the character in the Outer Limits episode The Bolero Shield, which aired just days before Betty's first session when she profiled them, though Betty denied ever seeing the show. Regardless of whether the portrayal is valid or not, however, the image remained and has become disseminated to the point that the Greys are now stated to be responsible in the vast majority of kidnappings and otherworldly meetings, encompassing over 70% of reported cases in North America. Greys have since been retroactively connected to many iconic alien encounters, including the infamous Roswell incident. Unlike the seemingly tragic fate of the albinaurics in game though, encounters with the Greys in real life are said to be rather traumatizing, involving a lot of pain and distress as they gaze unceasingly into your eyes with their blank, black stares, and maybe that's actually more accurate than we thought. The second generation albinaurics are not the only ones which resemble extraterrestrial life though. The first generation of albinaurics also closely match a different alien archetype. Known as Nordics, this archetype is reported to be taller than the average person, between 6 and 7 feet in height, with lengthy hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. In addition to these physical features, they are almost always portrayed as beautiful, benevolent, and affectionate. They are usually noted to be surprisingly worried about humanity, despite assertions that they are far more advanced, sometimes even magical, or equally capable of telepathy. One of the first alleged meetings with a Nordic alien concerns an account by ufologist George Adamski, though this rendezvous also occurred not long after another piece of pop culture, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and shares many of the same elements, suggesting that it too may have been borrowed. Unlike the Greys though, the Nords can be retroactively linked to folklore, with some claiming that the myriad myths and legends involving the Fae and various fairy folk were ancient liaisons with Nordic visitors explained the only way our ancestors knew how. Once again, regardless of the veracity of such claims, the Nordics are said to have been responsible for many otherworldly encounters throughout Europe. Eventually, these encounters with Nordics decreased greatly as the Grey archetype reached the height of its popularity, leading to them appearing less often in such accounts. This closely mirrors the replacement of the first generation albinaurics with the second in-game, though a number of accounts have also suggested that the Greys and Nordics may work together on occasion, though like the albinaurics in-game, their motivations for this are largely up to speculation. The albinaurics are not the only ones in Elden Ring who could be considered to match the Nordic category, however. The alabaster and onyx lords also loosely fit with tall elven demeanors, but they mesh a bit better into the third and final archetype we will discuss today. This category occurs less often regarding real encounters and abductee accounts, but they are quickly emerging more and more in popular culture and may even be the most likely kind of alien being to exist depending on whom you ask. Silicon-based life forms appear to have been proposed first by astrophysicist Julius Shiner in 1891, and were also presented by chemist James Emerson Reynolds to the British Association for the Advancement of Science before being picked up by science fiction writers like H.G. Wells. The argument for silicon-based organisms relies on the fact that just like carbon, which is the foundation for all known creatures on Earth, silicon also has 4 bonding electrons, which in theory means it could be a basis for life as well. The idea is not without its flaws, especially since it seems as if such beings would have been likely to develop on Earth alongside carbon-based life. But those who support the idea propose that perhaps such creatures would only form in conditions that are incredibly alien to existences on Earth, since they would probably be surprisingly resistant to extreme heat and could even hypothetically survive in the vacuum of space. In reality, we don't understand exactly what shape such existences would take. It could be in the form of metal golems that consume rock, a type of living magma that only resides near the molten core of a planet, or even an animate crystal which moves and contemplates on a geological time frame, with entire civilizations rising and collapsing in the time it requires them to finish a thought. Obviously, the lands between are rife with these types of creatures in particular, likely precisely because these existences may be the closest thing to real-life eldritch beings given their extremely alien nature. The onyx and alabaster lords, then, are the more human-like embodiment of this idea, and onyx is composed of silicon, further reinforcing this link to them. Alabaster also has its otherworldly connections, as gypsum has a naturally crystallized form known as selenite. Selenite in this case means moonstone, and the name is in reference to how it appears to wax and wane in size like the moon since it is water-soluble. Unlike onyx, selenite does not contain silicon, but it resembles quartz, which does. Selenite is also responsible for the largest crystals found on Earth in Nika's now flooded Cave of the Crystals, which is likely the basis for many of the crystal caverns in-game. In regards to crystals, the crystallians also look to be a similar form of alien existence that is just as indecipherable to humans. They are said to be inorganic, but in this instance that seems to only correspond to the fact that they are not carbon-based, as they can still be affected by the scarlet rot as we see from the putrid crystallians. While living crystal beings are not present in folklore, crystals have been coveted for their supposed metaphysical properties essentially for all recorded history. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and several other civilizations thought that certain gems had specific qualities, with the first documented proof being connected to the Sumerians. Plato even alleged that the inhabitants of Atlantis used such crystals for telepathy as well as their recuperative abilities. This idea persists even today, with many believing in the concept of crystal healing and relating them to a number of pseudo-scientific claims, in addition to relics such as the infamously debunked crystal skulls, which had also been linked to supposed extraterrestrial origins. Given the enduring faith in the power of crystals, it's no wonder that the sorcerers of the lands between sought the instruction of the crystallians and the strength of glintstone for their own. Of course, this is all just scratching the surface, so to speak, in regards to the alien lifeforms in Elden Ring. But as these aliens become less human-like in appearance, they become more monstrous and their motives become more sinister. As such, we will be covering these in another video. In the meantime, feel free to let me know what you think about these comparisons in the comments below. We still have plenty more to cover and are only just getting started with Elden Ring, so if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe or follow me on Twitter for more updates, and GRIMM and I will see you all next time. Until then, fellow folklorists, Now where did I put that tinfoil?